You know, Mondays at this time, we have great conversations with the Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. Today is no different, and Casey has a great guest in studio with us as well. Good morning to you, Casey.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. Thanks for being here today. And who do we have on the air with us?
Well, Jeff, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about our office had received recognition from a group called the Patriot Guard Riders regarding our work with veterans. And I wanted to take the opportunity to have a person here that could speak on behalf of the Patriot Guard Riders, Jim Dickson. Not only is he just a person here on the radio this morning, he's a personal friend. And I noted Jim's passion many, many years ago for our veterans. I know that Jim is a Marine and served in Vietnam. And I would tell you that over the last quite a few years since I've been in law enforcement, not only the Patriot Guard Riders recognize and assist families of veterans, but they also do for law enforcement officers and been killed in the line of duty. And so many times in the state of Washington over the last 20 years or so, I've gone to an event and to honor law enforcement, and the Patriot Guard Riders are there holding flags. And I know when we lost the 4 in Lakewood, it was a terrible day and stormy, looked like it is out today, even colder. And the Patriot Guard Riders were standing there in the morning and stood all day honoring law enforcement. And they also honor their vets, and they do several other things for the veterans that I'd like to have Jim talk about today.
Yeah, Jim Dickson with the Patriot Guard Riders at patriotguard.org, standing for those who stood for us. Good morning, and thanks for coming on.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with all this and the background on this and kind of where I know you are in a lot of places all across the state, and how do you decide on where to go and when you decide, and the groups, everything. Tell me about this.
Okay, the Patriot Guard Riders were originally formed in 2005 when a group known as the Westboro Baptist Church decided that they were going to protest at military funerals.
Okay.
A group of veterans down in Kansas City, Missouri decided that, no, you're not. And so they got together, about 50 of them, and they formed a flag line between the protesters and the family. Initially, a little bit of rough ground with law enforcement because law enforcement thought they were just another protest group. Well, it turned out that that was not so, and that initial interdiction between the protesters and the families who were suffering a significant loss grew over just a very few years to over 200,000 Patriot Guard Riders nationwide.
Wow.
We are now at about 300,000 across the country. We include several provinces of Canada, Guam, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, of course, and Alaska. We're anywhere where there is a need for a family of a military veteran or active duty personnel who is having a funeral service. I got involved in 2007 for about 40 years after I came back from Vietnam. I wasn't always such a nice person to be around, quite frankly. And I didn't like crowds. I didn't like a bunch of people. I didn't like being involved in anything that I wasn't in control of. So I rode by Eagle Leather in Tacoma, Washington one day, and I saw a group of bikes out back, and I swung through, and it was the Patriot Guard Riders, and they were staging for a mission. And one of them invited me to ride along, and as we like to say, you come on one mission and we've got you hooked.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine.
Yeah, so it grew from there. I kind of surprisingly quickly for me rose through the ranks of the state organization to become state captain. And the way you had asked how we decide where we're going to go and what we're going to do, we have several mechanisms built into both the national website and our state website, which is www.pgrofwa.org. On the homepage, it's got a simple request button. And you click on that request button, fill out the simple information, and hit send, and it comes directly to me. And I send it out to whoever's district it belongs in. And then we have a statewide email notification system that we send out the missions to all of our riders, and they all show up at staging, and we make it happen.
Wow.
Jeff, I didn't mention, I won't go into the names, but a few years ago, we had a veteran in need in Mason County, a veteran's family. And obviously, you know that our office has a number of veterans, and we're huge supporters of veterans at the sheriff's office. They needed some help repairing a home. There were some challenges to be able to do that, to get some things back in repair. And we were going to try to put something together. And I called Jim and said, I've got a veteran here in need, and this is what we're trying to do. And it was the neatest day. We went out to this home, out to this residence. I called Jim, and he says, we'll be there. And I had a whole list of things that needed to be done on that residence. And a number of us from the sheriff's office are sitting here, and you can hear bikes rolling. And pretty soon there was a whole parade of Patriot Guard Riders and pickups and equipment and tools. Handed out this list, and in one day, a few weeks worth of maintenance and things were fixed on this house with all the people that showed up for that veteran. They were gone for a couple days. We had arranged with one of the family members they were going to be gone for a couple days out of the area, and we went in and we were able to fix that whole place in one day. And that's one of the things that I know that Jim personally has helped me with. Another one that I don't know if there's been a lot of recognition for it as much, but you guys brought one of the beams over from the Twin Towers, didn't you?
We did. We organized the escort across the state for the Kitsap 9/11 Memorial. They were the first fire service organization in the state that requested and received one of the beams from Ground Zero.
Wow.
Though that material is very, very closely regulated in New York City, and so they arranged to have a trucking company, a local trucking company, take one of their trucks back. They made the choice of which beams they would like to have, and that choice was granted. And so they brought the beams across the country, and we had Patriot Guard Ride members pick them up at the Idaho-Washington border, and we escorted them all the way across the state. And we had approximately 700 to 800 motorcycles that escorted the beams all the way into the mall there in Kitsap County.
Wow.
And, it was really a moving event. We got all kinds of assistance from law enforcement agencies and from fire service agencies, and it truly was a memorable event for a lot of us because, 9/11, a lot of people think of the Twin Towers, and they tend to overlook the other two incidents that occurred on 9/11, and that was Flight 93 and the assault on the Pentagon. And so that particular one had a real impact on all of us as veterans because that was our people there in the Pentagon, and albeit higher ranking people,
Sure.
but military nonetheless. And so it was our pleasure and our honor to do that.
When you say to Sheriff Salisbury, "We'll be there," what's an average number of folks that get the call and say, "This is what we're doing today"?
When I send out a mission request, I send out between 3,200 and 3,400 emails.
Wow.
Across the state.
Wow.
And on any given mission, we have anywhere from 10 to 200 people show up.
I know that, like I mentioned, in Lakewood, a personal friend of mine, was actually from Shelton, was one of the victims in that. And when we showed up down there, there it is. When we showed up down there and we're going through the parade, I look over and the weather it was a rough weather day and everything. I look and there was Jim and the Patriot Guard Riders lined up for blocks holding American flags. A couple of years ago, we went to a service in Oregon for an officer there, and again, I don't know why the weather always seems to be so rough. And I get out of the car and I'm walking down the sidewalk, and there's rows of flags, and who was there but Jim and the Patriot Guard Riders all the way to the front door honoring the fallen law enforcement officer's family, and I just thought such an honorable thing that the Patriot Guard Riders do for our veterans and law enforcement alike. Like I say, I've known Jim for many years, and I think for me how it meant a difference for me is I know about Jim's service to his country, and then to come back and serve. When I was at Thurston County, Jim was our dive team leader over there. And the passion I've seen in Jim for doing this for many years and for our veterans has meant a tremendous amount to me. And so when Jim last month gave us that flag recognizing the sheriff's office for honoring our veterans. It's really a high point for our office to be able to receive that. And when I brought that to your attention, I just wanted you to make sure that you understood, or the people out there understood, what the Patriot Guard Riders are and what they stand for.
Jim, if someone would like to join with the Patriot Guard Riders as a riding member, how do they do that? If someone doesn't have a motorcycle but wants to help with donations or any other ways to help, what are some things that you guys are looking for to need to get the help out there?
Well, Jeff, thanks for asking that. Ironically, you don't have to ride. You don't have to ride to be a member, and you don't have to be a military veteran to be a member.
Wow.
We welcome anyone who is willing to abide by our one vision statement, and that is to show honor and respect for our fallen heroes. You can ride, you can walk, you can drive, however you want to get there. And to find out how to become a member is very simple on either the national or the state website. On the home page, there are simple links. Ours is submit, and you just click on the submit button, and it has you put in your email address and hit go, and it'll send you a confirmation link, and you're there. You'll start getting mission notifications. There are no mandatory meetings. There are no dues. None of the things that are typically associated with motorcycle clubs and motorcycle organizations. We have one purpose in life, and that is to stand in honor and respect of our fallen heroes.
The website for the national organization is patriotguard.org. The Washington chapter, you said, was PGR of WA.
Correct.
.org.
That's correct.
And you can find out those. We'll put the links as well to the video interview here that we're doing today. Jim Dickson, the captain here for the Washington Patriot Guard Riders, and Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. What a wonderful conversation. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for bringing Jim in today. My goodness, thank you.
You're very welcome, Jeff. Thank you for having me.